definition of co-ops that has two different things that are important in it. That it's democratically controlled and jointly owned. Okay? Democratically controlled and jointly owned are two ways of describing. They're different ways of describing ownership, right? So we have a financial ownership and a democratic ownership in a business, right? So who understands what I mean by a financial ownership in the business? What does that mean?
You're contributing.
You're contributing into the business, right?
Financially.
Yeah. You're also getting out from the business, right? So you're investing in the business and you're getting a return from the business, hopefully, if things are going right, right? And what about the democratic control? What does this look like in a co-op? Yeah?
That everyone probably has an equal share or equal amount of opportunity.
Exactly. Yep, that's right. It's one member, one vote. And so this is, so when we're talking about democratic decision making, that means you have the ability to participate, right, in what you're doing. And the financial benefit is about this jointly owned. You are the people who own this business. No one else is profiting from it but you. I'm going to actually come back to this and do the other part first. There's a few different kinds of cooperatives. So there's worker co-ops that everybody knows about, right? Is everybody pretty much planning on organizing as a worker co-op? Is anybody here considering organizing as a customer-owned co-op? I know isn't there a food co-op in town that's organized that way? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a different.
And the energy efficiency crew is going to start as.
Start that way. And I think one of the things that we want to create is like start that way and then buy in to be worker owned.
Yeah. All right. So any business.
Can you just clarify those specific people?
Yeah. Let's do that right now. So in any business, right? This might sound a little simplistic at first, but it's really important to get this. So let's see. I guess I'll just do it from out here. In any business, this central piece here is the cooperative. That's the business. I'm not a graphic designer, so you can tell this is my graphic design skills are pretty limited. But this kind of purple box is the business of the co-op. And these are the workers in the business, right? So in any business, you're buying stuff from somewhere. You're buying stuff from vendors or suppliers or producers. So if you are an ice cream manufacturing cooperative, you're buying milk from farmers, for example. What else might you be buying?
Chocolate chips.
Excellent. Right, so you're buying all your materials and stuff from your vendors and suppliers. And then you're bringing it into the business. Your stuff goes this way, the purple arrows are stuff and the green arrows are money, right? So the stuff goes that way, the money goes this way. The workers take the milk and turn it into ice cream, then they sell it out there to the consumers, right? So then the ice cream flows to the consumers and the consumers pay money into the co-op, right? This is generally how most businesses run, right? So for youth grow, so what's the example? Your co-op is making hot sauce, right? So who are your vendors and suppliers? What are you buying? Your own vendors and suppliers.
You buy our bottles.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, we do that.
That's called vertically integrated. That's a good strategy. But you buy your bottles, right? So who do you buy your bottles from? From the vendors.
Online.
Okay. And then who are your customers?
Yeah, people that buy it.
Yeah. So you have retail customers, people like me who bought a bottle. But then if you're selling wholesale, who's your wholesale customer?
It's not yet, but it will be have it for lunch.
Okay. So it's another business, right? So those customers can be a business or they can be an individual person, right? Who else have we got? The pedicabs. Who are your vendors? Who are you buying stuff from?
Your insurance company.
You're buying insurance. Yeah, that's important when you're doing physical work. Yeah.
Pedicabs on Craigslist, right?
Yeah.
Pedicabs.
Yeah, pedicabs.
Yeah. And then your customers? Who are your customers?
Public.
So they're people, but what are they doing? Why are they using your pedicab service?
Their computers,
veggie oil provider.
Yep. Are you buying veggie oil or are you getting it for free?
I feel like it's a mixture.
We're currently mostly getting biodiesel, which is made from vegetable oil, so
Yeah.
there's a producer that we're buying that from.
So you're buying that. Okay. And who are the customers?
Most of the other organizations, I'd say, it's been lookout rentals for partner organizations or groups or people who need that transportation for some reason.
Yeah. So in a cooperative, we talk about all these, there's 3 different groups here, right? So the vendors, the workers, and the customers. And we talk about these people as users, right? So each one of these groups is using the cooperative for something. So the vendors are using the cooperative to sell their products to, right? The workers are using the cooperative to have a job in. And the consumers are using the co-op to get a product from, right? And each one of these groups can be the owners of the cooperative. So if you have a worker-owned cooperative, then the workers are the ones who own the business. They have that democratic control and the financial stake in the business, those 2 forms of ownership, right? You can also have a kind of cooperative that's owned by the customers, right? So in a customer-owned co-op, like the food co-op, I think, the customers are the people who invest in the business and they get a financial return for that. There's also a kind of a cooperative that's a producer cooperative, which is often an agricultural co-op. So I use the milk example and ice cream example because dairy farms are often organized this way, and other agricultural businesses are organized this way. So, what do those look like? Worker-owned cooperatives. These are some in Boston. But what are the, besides the people who are here, or maybe, what are the worker-owned cooperatives that you guys know about?
Equal exchange.
Equal exchange, yep.
Oh.
Ocean Spray? Ocean Spray is not owned by its workers, it's actually owned by the farmers. It's going to come up later. So worker-owned cooperatives, the ones that the workers own it. In Boston we have a business called Red Sun Press, which prints calendars and pamphlets and business cards and stuff for people. That's owned by the workers. We have a bike messenger cooperative called Boston Collective Delivery, and a bike school that's kind of a bike shop, bike school. As well as a construction company and a web design company. So who knows about more? I know you know some.
Worker co-ops in Boston?
No, not in Boston, just anywhere.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, there's spacing on the name, but the laundry, the green laundry, and is it Midway or?
Evergreen.
Evergreen, is that the one you mean? It's in Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio.
No, I don't mean Evergreen.
Oh.
I mean here in Massachusetts. Aren't they a worker-owned co-op? They came to Sage last year.
Oh, the cleaning company?
Yes.
Vita Verge and
Oh, Vita Verge.
Yes.
Right. That's basically a worker-owned business, yeah, that's owned by its workers. Some other kinds of cooperatives, the customer-owned cooperatives like the food co-op. Does anybody know any other kinds of customer-owned cooperatives?
Electricity co-op.
That's a good one. Especially in rural areas, there's a lot of locally owned utility co-ops where instead of like, you know, like I guess you get your bill from NSTAR, the electric company, whoever it is, you're actually an owner of that business, not just a customer of it. So there's a few that you may know about or not. Does anybody know the business REI? They sell camping gear and stuff. That's a consumer-owned co-op. So if you go to the desk there, they'll ask you if you want to become a member. You pay like $15 to become a member, and you're a member for life. And then for life, you get a discount on everything that you buy there. And actually, at the end of the year, you get a refund on whatever you bought there. And I'll go into a little bit more about why that is. Credit unions and cooperative banks are customer-owned cooperatives, right? Housing cooperatives, you can think of that as a kind of a consumer cooperative, because if you weren't buying your housing from a co-op, you'd be buying it from a landlord or somebody else like that. And then a lot of food co-ops are organized this way. What about True Value? Did anybody know that True Value and Ace Hardware are cooperatives?
Well,
Well, that's why they don't want to advertise they don't wanna post any flyers from a profit business.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think, so here's the thing. So you don't have to be a person to be a member of a cooperative. You can be a business and be a member of a cooperative. And True Value is an example of a business, of a cooperative, where the members are actually other businesses. They're not people. So in the case of True Value and Ace Hardware, the members are the individual local stores. So each of those True Value and Ace Hardware stores is a locally owned business. But those businesses belong to this national co-op. And what they get from the co-op is support for their marketing. They buy all their stuff. Because, you know, you go into a hardware store and there's like a wall of nails and screws and washers and who knows what. And every local business owner doesn't want to take the time to go and buy those individually, right? So they founded this wholesaler called True Value and called Ace. And that big business goes out and sources all those things and makes it available to the small stores. So let me go back to this thing. There's a few key features of cooperatives that I want you guys to keep in mind, okay? One is that, and these are kind of the legal features of cooperatives in the United States. One is the subordination of capital, and that means basically people over profit. Anybody ever heard this phrase, people over profit? Basically this means a corporation, a regular corporation, is set up to serve the interests of its shareholders. So the reason it exists is to make money for the people who invested in it, right? If it does any public good, that's kind of a side effect. It's really, its main purpose is to make money for the people who invested in it. But that's not the main purpose of a cooperative. Cooperative is one member, one vote, like you said. It's always one member, one vote. In a regular corporation, if I have 1,000 shares of stock and you have 100 shares of stock, how many votes do I get? I get 1,000. How many does he get? 100. So I get 10 times as many votes as him because I had 10 times as much money to put in, right? That's not how it works in a cooperative. You can put in more money if you have it into a cooperative, but you don't get more votes for your money. It's one person, one vote, no matter how much money you have in, right? And then operation at cost. This is kind of a tricky one to get. So the purpose of a cooperative is to serve the needs of its members, right? And who could the members be?
Could be either
Customers.
The vendors, the customers,
The workers.
or the workers. So it's set up to serve the needs of its customers, right? And what are the needs of the vendors?
to sell their
To
product.
sell their product. And the needs of the workers?
To
living.
produce
Yeah,
the product.
Living. Yeah. And the customers to buy the product, right?
Like quality.
So the whole thing, the whole purpose of the cooperative is to provide that service at the best possible price to whoever those people are, right? In a regular business, if there's extra money left over at the end of the year, you call it profit, right? And who takes home the profit?
The owners.
The owners, right? And they take it home, whoever put in most money takes home most profit, right? The operation at cost means if there's money left over at the end of the year when you're done with your operations at the end of the year, that money goes back to the members, right? There is no outside owner. The members are the people who own this, right? So that means at the end of the year, the cranberry growers, the Ocean Spray cranberry people, when they're done, so the cranberry growers sell their cranberries to the co-op. The co-op processes it and makes the juices, cranberry juices, and the customers buy those, right? Any money that's left over goes back to the farmers. Yeah,
What about rolling over money year to year?
you can do that. Yep, you can decide as a cooperative that you want to keep some of the money in the business and keep it collectively in a collective account. You don't have to return all of it to the members.
Trust or something like that.
It's just called a reserve account because it's a good practice in a business to keep a reserve.
If
Because you
someone
want
pulls out, do they get to pull out their share of the reserve?
Usually the way that you set that up is, when somebody leaves the cooperative, your investment is in the co-op. You've invested financially, and your work has produced, wealth for the cooperative. that has your name on it. When you leave the cooperative, usually you set up a system where you could pull that out over the course of 3 or 5 years. Because you don't want it to be too much of a burden to take that out like right away in the co-op, but that belongs to the members and they have a right to take it with them when they go. So, International Cooperative Principles, has anybody seen these before? This is that same organization. ICA is the International Cooperative Alliance. So there's a worldwide alliance of cooperatives, and the United States is way behind the times in cooperatives. Just about every country in the world has more co-ops than we do here, at least worker-owned co-ops. So these are the international standards about the rules that cooperatives are supposed to follow, just so you know. I'm not going to spend too long on it because we've got to move along. Let's see. So we got through worker-owned and customer-owned. These are the supplier-owned co-ops, right? So we just talked about Ocean Spray Cranberries, and then Cabot Cheese, Organic Valley are both dairy cooperatives that the dairy farmers sell milk into the co-op. And then there's hybrid cooperatives, just as if it wasn't complicated enough, right? So you have your 3 categories, right? You have your producers, your workers, and your consumers. But sometimes you want more than one of those groups to have a say in the co-op, right? Because they all have good reasons for caring about the co-op, right? I mean, if you're the cranberry farmer, you care about Ocean Spray. And if you're processing the cranberries at Ocean Spray, you care about that too. And if you're drinking the Ocean Spray juice, you care about that too. So everybody, all these users care about the cooperative. So a hybrid co-op is trying to give more than one group of users access to the co-op. So a few of these have formed this way, especially food co-ops, because food is one of those places where both the workers and the consumers really care a lot about what happens in that business. So Weaver Street and Dorchester Community Co-op are both hybrid co-ops where there's 2 classes of membership. There's worker owners and consumer owners. And so their board has members of both groups. So the consumers elect people to the board and the workers elect people to the board. And those people have to sit down together and wrestle out their differences, you know? So the customers, what's in the best interest of the customers?
Low prices.
Low prices. And what's in the best interest of the workers?
High prices.
High wages, right? Good wages.
Quality product.
Exactly. So there's a tension there, right? And in every other business in the world, basically, if you don't like one of those things, you can go to the next business owner, the next business over. If a place is too expensive, you go to a cheaper place. If your job doesn't pay you enough, hopefully you get a job paying more money. In a co-op, you have to work things, in a hybrid co-op, you have to work this out within the business, right? You have to sit around the table and argue about whether you want lower prices or higher wages, which I think is a pretty interesting thing. Okay, so that's it for this part right now.